matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA096.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And we're back.
Back. Yeah, I had to pause to drink water because yesterday I drank zero water and only drank wine, and I'm like, I should drink water. I should remember that I should take care of myself.
I had a good amount of wine yesterday too, and I went to work out this morning. Was like, I need to not. I'm too old to like enjoy wine that much.
Do both. Yeah, that's fair. Here we are.
But in theory, people are gearing up for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
They're probably listening to this maybe the day before Thanksgiving. If so, hopefully everybody has some fun times.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to Doomed to Fail, everyone, on this Thanksgiving week. We are the podcast that brings you history's most notorious disasters and epic failures. And I'm Taylor, joined by Fars.
Yep, we are here. We covered my topic earlier today, and now we have Taylor's topic, which I am dying to learn more about.
Boop, boop. I I feel like someday we should talk about just like Thanksgiving itself and how the reason that the Puritans came to America is because they sucked. No one wanted to hang out with them.
I mean, again, I am thankful that I'm here now, especially in light of everything.
For real. As long as we can be. So I'm in, like I told you last time, I am in Spokane, even though it's also spelled Spokane, but Spokane, Washington. And with my family, and we just like all we do is lay around and do nothing. Like I haven't left the house in several days. We just lay around. And we were watching music videos on like the TV or whatever. And a video came up. And for the video Creep by TLC. Do you remember that one? They're wearing like big PJs.
I don't.
You can picture it. So they're wearing these like amazing, gigantic silk pajamas, and it's all this wind. And I noticed that like there isn't a rap in the video, so Left Eye like kind of does nothing the whole time. So that was really weird. Like she like they didn't have the rap in there, so she just kind of dances around, doesn't do anything. And I'm like, that's really weird. What's the deal with that? So I'm going to talk about the life and death of Lisa Left Eye Lopes
Ooh,
today.
okay. Fun.
So she was born Lisa Nicole Lopez with an S, Lopez, Lopes, on May 27th, 1971 in Philadelphia. She grew up in like a really strict military household. Her dad was in the military and he was probably abusive. Like he was kind of mean and probably an alcoholic as well. So her parents got divorced when she was young, and she like spent a lot of her time like in her high school and kid years living with her grandma. So a little bit of a tumultuous like um, growing up life, but then she ended up staying in touch with her siblings and all of that. She liked music. From right away, she played a bunch of instruments. Her dad actually taught her how to do that, and she started a little gospel group with her siblings, and they would sing at like churches and things like that, and they would like write their own music. At some point, someone tells her that her left eye is very pretty, which is odd,
That's how she got the name?
right?
Is that
Yeah. So someone says like, "You're really pretty, especially your left eye."
that is very strange.
You know, very
Uh
specific.
I never noticed anything about her left eye specifically.
Yeah. I mean, she's very pretty, but like they said that to her, so that's why she has the nickname Left Eye, and that happened like in the 90s, and in the late 1990s, she moved to Atlanta. So Atlanta was where there was like a lot of like hip hop R&B music being made, and she
Her eyes were
brought like
identical. She's totally symmetrical. They just
don't
call
take
her
this away
Eyes
from her.
Lopez.
That
Weird.
doesn't have the same ring. Yeah,
True.
Eyes Lopez. Um, so she moved to Atlanta. She had a keyboard and like $1,000 and was going to be a dancer and just wanted to, start making music. There's a record producer. There's a lot of record producers in here in the story. One named specifically named Ian Burke, and he was working with a young woman named Crystal Jones on a new group. So they wanted to do like a Belle Biv DeVoe kind of group, but all girls, and do like a combination of like different styles in the group. So it was like Crystal's idea, and she ended up um, finding Lisa and finding T-Boz. So the other one, that T is just like T and then Boz is like boss. That's what that nickname is. So it was T-Boz, Left Eye, and Crystal. And they had an audition with the producer Pebbles Reid, and Pebbles said to kick Crystal out. She didn't like Crystal's vibe, wanted her out, so they kicked Crystal out. An article I read that Crystal wrote later, like an interview with her later, she said that there was a contract that they asked them to sign, and T-Boz and Left Eye signed it right away, but Crystal wanted to read it, and she didn't want to like just sign a contract to give her life away, and they were like, nope, forget it, and kicked her out.
Yeah, that's how they
So
do all. It's so crooked. The whole
yeah,
like, it's like those
yeah.
temptation deals where you're like basically like a slave to the label forever.
It's exactly that. That's exactly what they signed to. But Crystal left and they found a a young woman named Razonda Thomas. And they already had like the marketing and like they were already going to be TLC, so they didn't know what to do. So Left Eye gave her the nickname Chili, and that's how she became Chili. She just like made that up.
It's a good name.
She had been a backup dancer, so that's how she got Chili. So now they can be TLC. Lisa wrote a lot of their songs. She wrote her own raps. She picked out their matching outfits. She was like really like involved in their style. She also would wear, remember she would wear a condom over her right eye. No, that's her left eye. That's her right eye. Or her right eye in her glasses just to like promote safe sex and like talk about it. She also would sometimes do like the black bar under her eye like a football player. And she got her like left eyebrow pierced to like make that left eye stand out more.
You got
You
to.
know, you know.
You got to
Um,
flex
so
that left eye.
yeah. So she signed the deal with LaFace Records, which was owned by Pebbles Reid and Babyface, and other producers like Jermaine Dupri was in there. Dallas Austin was a person who like worked on Creep. Which is like one of the big famous ones too. So they had a bunch of like really great producers working for them and making songs for them. In 1992, their first album came out. It has a terrible name. It's called Ooh, on the TLC Tip. That's the name of the album. I don't even know how to say it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe back then it was a good name.
But it was great, and it had a bunch of songs, and they got pretty popular. And so it's 1992, and they're living in Atlanta. The first album is out. They have some hit singles. Like "Ain't Too Proud to Beg" is like the main hit single from that album. And Lisa starts dating a football player for the Atlanta
This is the
Falcons.
story. This is the story I'm most familiar with.
Yes. So his name is Andre Rison,
Ryzen.
R-I-S, Rison, Andre Rison. And it's not great from the start. He's not great. There's definitely abuse involved. And she has alcohol issues. So they're both like it's like a very hostile relationship. On September 2nd, 1993, she filed an assault charge against him, but they're still going to get back together. And they're going to get back together and on and off for like a really long time. But sometime in 1993, she found him in bed with another woman. So she threw a bunch of teddy bears that he had given her into the tub and set them on fire. So in that case, the tub was like a big marble bathtub. They had like a big mansion that they lived in, and the marble didn't burn, but it was ruined. So Andre had to get a new bathtub. So he replaced the bathtub that she set on fire with a fiberglass bathtub. He didn't like get a marble one again. And then on June 9th, 1994, she alleges that he was beating her and they were in this like, big physical fight, and she threw some new shoes of his into the new tub that was fiberglass and set those on fire. But fiberglass isn't like marble and it burns, and that's what burned their entire house down. That was
I
the
did
second
not
time
know
she had
about
done
the
it.
first story. I thought
I didn't
I
either.
only heard about the shoes.
Yeah, yeah. So she had done it before, and the first time, I guess you can do it if you like, if you're gonna set something on fire dramatically, do it in a marble tub. If you want to burn on your house, do it in a fiberglass tub.
Just break up. For the love of God, just break. Dude, like if she burnt your tub once, that should be enough. Just break up.
Yeah, and don't stay with someone who hurts you. Just break up. I know it's
Yeah.
super awful to say. That's really hard to say, but like they should have broken up.
Well, yeah, I
But
read I don't totally subscribe to the Well, okay, first off, he's an NFL player, so he probably was beating the shit out of her, but she also sounds like a fucking nightmare. like, like I'm, I'm just saying, she sounds like an absolute like they both should have called it quits.
They both should have called it quits. Yes. After I said that, I was like, wait, I don't mean that it's easy to get out of an abusive relationship because I know that it's hard to get out of an abusive relationship, but also like
No,
someone
Taylor,
in their
these aren't
life.
these. This isn't like a woman who's like you know depended on Andre Rison to pay her
No,
bills and
totally.
housing. She's a fucking millionaire herself. Like they're both
Well,
incredibly
she's
successful
actually
people.
not a millionaire. So let me tell you
Oh
about
shit.
that.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
backtrack everything I just said. So
Yeah.
that's
So
right.
I don't know where we're going with that, but yes, it
No,
it
my
was
only
not
point
good.
was like
Yeah.
it's it's less hard to get out of a situation like this when you have infinite resources. Like if Jay-Z was beating Beyonce, like Beyonce could buy the state they live in and like
Yes.
house herself.
Yes. Yes.
Are
Yeah.
we arguing or something? I don't mean what's
I
going
don't
on.
know. I don't think so. I don't want anyone to feel like I think it's easy to just leave a relationship because I know it's hard.
Do you feel guilty for saying
Anyway,
it?
I do, but and I'm like, well, like you were saying, just break up, and I feel like that's similar to like people who murder their spouses. You're like, oh my God, get a divorce, you know?
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean there's also like a ton of factors that go into stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, when you look at like two people like this, like who are very, very young and are, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
guess I assume they were really, really successful. At least Andre Rison's super successful or like
Mm-hmm.
financially successful. And
Mm-hmm.
like you would assume they're surrounded by people that also you're not tied to that person. You're fucking touring. You're either on the, you know what I mean? Like it's just,
Yeah.
again, like you keep, I feel like you're picturing like someone married to someone who makes like $50,000 a year and is living
Right.
in
I
like a small
wasn't, then I
town.
was, and like, yeah, totally. No, I mean, it was not good. It was bad. It was bad. But they are going to continue to kind of date on and off until her death, pretty much, which is fabulous.
Great.
So she got 5 years of probation and a $10,000 fine, and then she goes to rehab. So she goes to like a halfway home to for her alcohol addiction. And while she was there, um, she didn't get to write for Crazy Sexy Cool, which is like their big album that everybody knows. And so she felt like she was kind of left out on it. Like she had some like very tiny little raps in the songs, and then like she used to sing backup vocals, but they had a studio person do it instead of her anyway. So she kind of like felt like she was getting pushed out. Um, Crazy Sexy Cool does give them all a bunch of awards. They got MTV Video Music Award for Video of the Year. They got Best R&B Album at the Grammy and Best R&B Performance Grammy as well. In 1996, they were Artist of the Year at the Billboard Music Awards. So they were like you said, they looked very, very successful. But like we also said, they signed a shitty ass deal. So in 1995, the members of TLC filed for bankruptcy. Um, they received, I don't really know exactly how album sales work, but they received as a group 56 cents per album sold and they had to divide it up between themselves. They also had to pay their own expenses. So like if you have a good record deal, like your expenses are covered, but they had to pay for their food and their travel like, while they were touring. They also had to pay Lisa's legal fees from the arson, and T-Boz has sickle cell anemia. She still obviously still has it, and so they had to pay her medical bills too. So after all of the fees and all the medical bills, each of them made like 50K a year after everything.
50K a year.
hmm
Wow.
So they were not millionaires, even though you would think that they would be. Um, but they were able to renegotiate their contracts. They were able to trademark the name TLC because it was like their idea, and get some control over it after that. So they're more in control of their music, but they're kind of falling apart as a group. So it's been a couple years, and they have another album called Fan Mail, and then Lisa goes out on her own and like makes a couple. Like she's guest stars in a bunch of other artists' work as well. Um, and she's kind of trying to get out. So in May 1999, in Vibe magazine, she said, quote, "I've graduated from this era. I cannot stand 100% behind TLC in the music that is supposed to represent me. So she's just like, it's not for me anymore. And they're pissed. And then obviously, Chili and T-Boz were mad. And they said in another magazine, they said that Lisa doesn't respect the whole group and she's only concerned. They said Left Eye is only concerned with Left Eye. So they were kind of like fighting back and forth in the media. So then she did this like weird thing where she did like a press conference and called and she suggested this thing called the challenge. And she said, I challenge Tian Watkins, T-Boz, and Rosanda Thomas Chili to an album entitled The Challenge, a three CD set that contains three solo albums. Each album will be due to the record label by October 1st, 2000. I also challenge Dallas and Manipulator Austin to produce all of the material and do it for a fraction of his normal rate. As I think about it, I'm sure LaFace would not mind throwing in a $1.5 million prize for the winner. So she sounds like a wild idea, and they were like, the other girls were like, no, and they called her heartless. So they like didn't talk to her for a while
So they were
after that.
broken up at this point, basically.
Yeah. I know that would have been cool though. A three CD set, all three single albums.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it like just hearing what you say, it didn't sound like a friendly thing.
No.
It sounded like antagonistic.
Exactly. They said no, they called her heartless. So they were like, we're not doing this with you. She was the only one ever actually out of the three to make a full solo album. There's been a couple singles. Her solo album was called Heartless, and then she was halfway done with another one when she did die later. Um, During the late 90s, she did a ton of like producing, joining other artists. She was in an NSYNC song, like bunch of other things. She also during this time adopted two children. Um, I'm not super clear when or why, but one person was a woman she met at like the halfway house that she was living in. She adopted that person's daughter, and then another child at some other point as well. She was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so which was like for charity because she was famous, and she ended up winning $32,000 for her charity. And she was in like some really early reality shows where she was like finding musicians and like finding bands. Um, but she started to kind of do a couple things that were like a little weird. Like she was definitely like pulling away from TLC. Like they weren't officially broken up, but they were like not talking to each other. And in 2000, she was reported missing. She didn't attend an event in Las Vegas and then like a family thing in Atlanta. And the newspaper articles I read, they're like, she's missing. Her family's like, where are you? And then she said that she just like went on a road trip. She just drove down through Central America and she was like, I just need a break and everybody leave me alone. So it sounds like her mental state was like not very good during that time. She was just like trying to escape. I actually watched, there's a documentary called The Last Days of Lisa
Yeah, I
of
saw that
Loveday.
too.
Yeah, so I was watching a little bit of that. And she's just like, I'm exhausted. I need a break, you know? So she found that she loved the country of Honduras and she wanted to go down there and bring a lot of her family and friends. So she brought like a group of people. They were going to do like a 30-day retreat to do like yoga and numerology and like all these things. And she also had bought 80 acres of land to make into like a school and art center for children of Honduras. So she was like trying to do good things down there. Um, she, so she had like her group of people there. And was about to start this like 30-day retreat when in 2002 she was in a van driven by her assistant Stephanie and they hit a young boy named Byron Iseo Fuentes Lopez. So a little boy who was like running through the street. They picked him up. Lisa held him, his like bloody body in the back of the van while someone else gave the kid CPR and they brought him to the hospital, but he was brain dead by the time they brought him there and he died. And she felt like there was this like weird shadow following her around Honduras and that it was trying to kill her, but it killed the boy instead because the boy ran in front. So she was like no one got like charged for it, but she was like she felt very, very guilty. She paid for all of the funeral arrangements. She gave the family some money, like all these things that she just felt like it was happening to her, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So
that would give me pause too.
So 2 weeks later, on April 25th, 2002, she was driving a Mitsubishi Montero SUV in La Ceiba, Honduras, and she was driving, and this is in the documentary because they were filming it. Like obviously it wasn't going to be called The Last Days of Lisa Lopez, it was going to be called something else, you know, but they were like filming their like adventures and being down there. So in this big passenger van, and she's driving, she's not wearing her seatbelt. The person is like in this front seat with her and they're videotaping her. There's some girls in the back playing, like people in the van, and there's like truck. They're on like a pretty windy, like mountainous road. It's like very green, and all of a sudden someone goes like, like look out, and you hear, oh no, and then you hear the screech, and then the thing goes like to static. But she was driving. She made like a sharp left to avoid the car, and then her vehicle rolled over several times, hit some trees. She got thrown out of the car, and she died instantly of a fracture to the base of the cranium. So, no one else died. She was the only one, and she was only 30 when she died. Um, she was buried in Georgia on May 2nd, 2002. On her casket, they engraved, "Dreams are hopeless aspirations and hopes of coming true. Believe in yourself. The rest is up to me and you," which is obviously from Waterfalls. And her family runs and still runs a foundation to help kids. Um, I think, what is it? What do they do? What does her foundation do? She has a foundation. I know it's to help children. Her family still like runs it. They have it's for neglected and abandoned youth to enjoy to help them increase their quality of life, essentially.
That's nice.
So that's nice. And they have that. And then, um, I think T-Boz and Chilli had like, at one point they had like a reality show that was like, "Are you the girl?" to like get a new member, but I don't think they ever got a new member. I think they just like, the two of them still kind of tour sometimes
That
and like
sounds
do
familiar.
things.
Was she
Yeah,
gonna go back to music? Was that the
I think so. It sounds like she was like doing her own stuff. Because she was halfway through her second solo album when she died. So I think she was probably um going to. But she also just like, I need a break so bad, you know? Like for the past like 10 years of her life had been like insane, you know?
I can only imagine. The Daily.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the Daily this weekend?
No.
So they you would know this better than I would. So they covered this K-pop um star who's the first Korean woman to have like a solo Billboard top 10 or something. Like I don't know
Mm-hmm.
music that well, but whatever. She accomplished something kind of big. Her name's
Mm-hmm.
Rosie or Rose. Do you know her?
Mm-mm.
I don't know how any of this stuff works, but apparently she was talking to the Daily and being interviewed. And apparently what they do with K-pop these days is they have these like it's kind of like the Perlman situation where they're just like built to be like famous, you know?
Yeah, they like make them in a factory.
They make them in a factory, and so that's what happened to her,
Yeah.
where some major company that does this was saying they're going to go to Australia. She's from New Zealand, and they were going to go to Australia, and she flew to Australia. She auditioned, and then they like shipped her to South Korea, and then kept her there. Like basically, like just like all you do is like learn music and learn media training, all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff for like years, and then you're off and trying to do your own thing. It just sounds like a very I guess you're living your
No,
dream, so it's not bad, but it also doesn't sound fun.
no, it doesn't sound fun. And there's plenty of stories of like, you know, famous people struggling with like addiction and doing like all kinds of stuff, you know? So it sounds weird. Like Liam Payne, the One Direction guy who just died, like he went to rehab, but he had like a thing. He was like they would do this like big show because they were like teenagers, and then the management would just like lock them in their hotel rooms by themselves, you know, and just be like, "Good night," and then he would just like drink the mini bar because he's like, "What am I supposed to do? Like have all this energy? Like it's just like yeah, you're kind of treated like just like a show person, you know?"
You're like a commodity. You're treated like a commodity. Yeah,
Yeah,
the way to do it is a solo way, like the Post Malone, Taylor. Well, I guess Taylor Swift got screwed over by that one guy,
yeah, but she
Scooter
figured it out.
Braun. She what?
She figured it out.
She did, but like I think like that's the way to do it is like you just
Yeah.
kind of get big enough to where you overpower like the industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
that Andre Rison story is the thing that I remember the most.
Totally.
Besides Waterfalls, obviously. Because
I
I was
didn't.
like, this is a crazy story.
I know. I also hadn't realized that she'd already done one of the like already lit a bathtub on fire.
I did not know that. I did not know that. But I like his thinking. He was like, if this is gonna keep happening, am I gonna shell out for a marble tub?
Totally. But someone should have told him that
If
fiberglass
it
burned. I
keeps
also didn't
happening, you
know.
should break up. Like just
You
love
should
of
break up.
God.
Oh my God. Totally.
Your ex is allowed to set your partner is allowed to set fire to your house one time. One time.
That's fair. One time.
The second time you gotta cut it.
Yeah, and especially if you're like cheating on her and being
Yeah, like
abusive, like
yeah,
she's not for you.
all the other factors
Yes.
involved. The cumulative picture is not one of a healthy relationship being painted.
It's not great. No. No. No, but
Fun.
it's sad. I'm sad for her. It's a short life.
Hey, she still beat the 2027 club.
She did. She did.
Was Aaliyah 27?
I feel like she was younger.
Was she really younger than 27? Who's in the 27 club?
Let's see. No, oh my gosh, she was only 22 when she died.
That's crazy.
Poor thing. That's terrible.
Wow, the I don't recognize a huge chunk of the names listed on Wikipedia for the 27 club.
Mm.
Like who's Barry Brown?
I'm gonna look.
Chris Austin? I don't know who that is. Mia Zapata,
Yes,
lead
about it.
singer of the
That's
Gits. I
such...
don't know who that is. All right, Kurt Cobain. Now we're getting into something here.
Wow. A Rolling Stones founder, guitarist named Brian Jones drowned when he was 27?
This list is like, come on. Like you got Hendrix, you got Cobain, like you got Amy Winehouse. We don't need to like add Jesse Belvin.
I'm just reading through this. I mean, there's a lot of people on this list.
It's a huge list. Wait, why is it Amy? Is Amy Winehouse not on here? She has to be on here. Yeah, she's on there. Okay.
It's another sad one.
Yeah.
Anyway, now we're just reading to ourselves. This is a silent reading portion.
This is a silent reading portion of the podcast. I hope you enjoy
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Join us. We're gonna you can just do this on your own. Actually, you don't even have to be listening to us. Just
Mm-hmm.
turn off the radio
Just keep this on.
and yeah, keep this
Whatever you want.
on silent.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Well, thanks for sharing, Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I love learning about things that were relevant to my childhood, but I never understood because I was too young to understand them when they happened. So
That's true.
it's
That's
always
true.
very fun.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you. That's all I have. Thanks everyone for listening. Please find us at Doomed to Fail Pod on all social medias or send us an email, doomedtofellpod@gmail.com.
And have a great Thanksgiving.
Woohoo!
Sweet. We'll go ahead and cut off.